We're literally going to take over Washington, D.C. that week. We're going to do the weigh-ins there. We're going to have fan events.
At the Lincoln Memorial.
That's what we're talking about, yeah.
What would you need to put the biggest fight on? You want to know where this is coming from? The story that Conor McGregor is being talked to headline the White House card. I don't buy it. I can't buy it.
At this point, everyone knows the UFC is planning a historic fight card at the White House, but the focus is now on Khamzat Chimaev, hinting that he might be a part of it, sparking excitement among fans, media, and fighters who are now eagerly watching for updates. Adding on, Dana White explained how the idea of a UFC event at the White House first appeared. He said it wasn't something he asked for, but rather something suggested during a tour. The president, pride of the White House, wanted to host more public events, and this included activities like Easter egg hunts, concerts, and now potentially a UFC fight.
So, no, I didn't ask. He brought it up to me. You know, when you walk around the White House with him, like when he walked Bill Maher, and I've seen him walk many people through the White House, he's so proud of the White House and he loves it so much, and you know, he loves America. So he believes that the White House belongs to the people of America. And he wants to do more things like kids coming in Easter, doing Easter egg hunts and
awesome.
Things around Christmas and special events. I guess Obama.
After describing that vision and the history behind it, Dana confirmed the UFC fight at the White House is not just talk anymore, but is officially happening. He called it 100% locked in and explained that his goal is to build the greatest card in UFC history. The plan is to showcase the event live and free on CBS, creating something unforgettable for fans worldwide.
One time had Elton John play on the South Lawn, you know. They've done some stuff like that, but and I don't know if anybody was invited, but that's his thing. He wants to bring more Americans to the White House to experience the White House, and
so cool.
His thing is, this is your house. So yeah, I was lucky that he said we should do a fight here.
So it's happening. It's like actually 100% happening.
Absolutely happening.
After Dana White's confirmation, the talk quickly shifted to which fighters could make it onto this historic card. Speculation ran wild, and not one to stay quiet, Khamzat Chimaev jumped into the conversation with a cryptic post that instantly grabbed attention. This time, he posted a tweet about fighting on the White House lawn, and the message quickly spread, keeping him in the MMA spotlight. His tweet turned the idea into something bigger and had fans across the MMA world. However, a few weeks ago, reporters asked Khamzat Chimaev directly about the rumored White House fight. While keeping his usual humor, he hinted at new opportunities with the current administration addressing the White House card rumors and giving fans a glimpse of what might be next for him.
It wasn't my fault, you know. I didn't have everyone knows I didn't have the visa to US. That's why I didn't fight only once in Abu Dhabi. So now Donald Trump here, so we go for a fight.
Everyone's talking about that White House fight, the White House card next year.
Bro, look at my face. I don't think so. They may let me come over there, bro.
Furthermore, after Khamzat hinted at the White House fight, Sonnen shared his thoughts on what makes a big UFC event special. He explained that it's not just about names, but also about planning, stakes, and creating a story for the fight. Sonnen's insights set the stage for his take on Conor McGregor, also potentially being part of the White House card.
What's the biggest fight there is? What ingredients need to go into the biggest fight there is? Like if you had an open checkbook or you had the magic wand. And I'm not asking you to put two people together. I'm not asking you to bring in the biggest draw in the business, Chael Sonnen, and put me opposite somebody. I'm asking, aside from the names, what would you need to put the biggest fight on? You want to know where this is coming from? The story that Conor McGregor is being talked to headline the White House card. I don't buy it. I can't buy it. Why are we would be turning to Conor McGregor? And the answer is also out there, because he is the sport's biggest star. That is true. So is that what you need? If you've got the open checkbook and you've got the magic wand, without saying names, do you say, I'm going to put as my main event the sport's biggest star? Is that your answer?
Sonnen continued by questioning if having the sport's biggest star is enough to make the card successful. He said that even a popular fighter cannot make a great fight without proper planning and exciting matchups. This directly relates to the White House card, showing why adding McGregor alone may not make it a historic event.
Doesn't matter who he's fighting. What if it's a championship match? You have an open checkbook and you have a magic wand and you don't use any names, but you're going to put the championship on. Would you say heavyweight? Would you say women's 135? Would you say wherever Khamzat Chimaev's at? Like, how is it that you would answer that question? And then what if you're really going to go for a big fight? What if you really follow this for a long time? You're going to do what we used to call a super fight, but now we call it title versus title. You're going to take the champion of a weight class and you're going to put them with another champion of a weight class. Your A side and your B side are both going to be champions. You don't get to use names, but that's the ingredients you need to bring the biggest card ever. And it's one of the reasons that I'm struggling with the idea that McGregor is being penciled in.
Finally, Sonnen explained the importance of championships and super fights for big events. He said the main event should feature the biggest draw, no matter the belt. His point connects to Khamzat's involvement and the White House hype, showing that planning the fights carefully is key to making the card truly memorable.
In the middle of 2025, for a card that sits dead center in the middle of 2026 at a venue yet to be built, for tickets that are yet to be on sale. I struggle with it because we're openly saying if we're going to put Conor on there that there's no title. Unless you believe that Conor McGregor is going to demote himself, right? The biggest draw should be the main event. Your biggest star, regardless of belt, should be the main event.
Meanwhile, with Khamzat and McGregor making headlines about the White House card, Daniel Cormier shared his view on potential matchups. He focused on Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler, explaining why Chandler would be the right opponent. DC highlighted the historic importance of the fight and Chandler's competitive mindset, tying together the fighter's involvement and the challenges of planning a truly memorable White House fight. He said, "But then I hear Conor McGregor is going to fight against Michael Chandler as one of the fights. I've spoken about Michael Chandler versus Conor McGregor for so long because it was supposed to happen 2 years ago." Further, he said, "Conor McGregor has been kind of pulling our chain, leading us along as if he's going to come back when it doesn't feel like he has any intention of truly coming back and fighting in the UFC. If he does, Michael Chandler would be the opponent." Even though DC said he's excited about the McGregor versus Chandler matchup, he still raised some doubts about Chandler's willingness to take the fight. Finally, he added, "I was speaking to Sean Shelby the other day at UFC and one of the younger guys had called out Michael Chandler. I said to Sean, I don't think Chandler would do it." Amid all the talk surrounding the White House card, Michael Chandler finally shared his own perspective. For him, the dream is not just about any fight, but about making history on one of the biggest stages ever. He explained how the White House card even carries special meaning and why his unfinished story with Conor McGregor could be the perfect fit.
I think obviously that's a fight that I want. I want the White House. First and foremost, I want the White House. Ideally, if it becomes Conor, that would be awesome. Obviously we have some animosity or some unfinished business. Once again, I just said there's not really animosity. I got respect for him. He's got respect for me, but we do have an unfinished business. And he has, expressed interest. When he put out that meme of me and him, I guess you could call it a meme. It was AI. It was me and him. He's called me out on Twitter and said we have unfinished business, and we do. We have unfinished business. We would be the only fighters not to fight after the Ultimate Fighter who were in the same weight class. And Conor and I, it makes sense.
Chandler then doubled down on why he should be part of the White House lineup. He argued that beyond star power, what the UFC really needs for an event of this scale is reliability. For him, showing up and making weight as well as guaranteeing the fight goes ahead is what sets him apart.
I did my job. I signed on the dotted line. I've still never pulled out of a fight, never missed weight. The most important thing about this White House card, and whether I am a shoe-in for it or not, when you're building a card of this magnitude, it's not necessarily even about putting on the best fight. It's about putting on the best fights that are the most reliable. Which fighters and which matchups, which marquee content contests are going to happen on the White House lawn that have an almost virtual certainty of actually happening. In this crazy sport, there are no guarantees, but I'm about as sure as a guarantee as you possibly could be. Like I said, never missed weight, never pull out of a fight. And if I can walk to the octagon, if I can physically make it to the octagon, I'm showing up that cage, that octagon door is closing, and I'm putting on a show for the fans.
Moving on, after confirming the White House fight, Dana White discussed the event's scale and setup. He explained the challenges of hosting a UFC fight on the White House lawn, from space limits to the weight of the octagon. Dana also shared his vision for the stage, including a grand arch and lighting showing how he plans to capture iconic landmarks like the White House and Washington Monument in camera.
You know, it depends on how much the lawn can hold. You know, as far as weight, the octagon itself weighs 15,000 pounds. So we don't know. We're still working it out. And my vision for this thing is we have this big arch, as you can see, with the lighting grid, because what I want is the White House in the back. And then when you shoot, when the fight goes around to the other side, you'll see the Washington Monument. So, you know, at first he put Ivanka in charge of handling this thing and putting it together. And when we sent the plans over to Ivanka, she said, Dana, you do not mess around.
Adding on, as plans for the White House fight started taking shape, Dana turned to the topic of potential participants. He explained that while some top names have expressed interest, he only wants people he can fully rely on. Dana shared a recent interaction with Jon Jones, who reached out about wanting to fight at the White House, but Dana clarified why he remains focused on fighters he trusts to deliver.
You said Jon Jones called you, and he apologized. What was that conversation like?
Well, it wasn't a conversation. He reached out, he wrote, you know, like a text, saying, listen, sorry how this all played out or whatever. You know, I want to fight at the White House. I'm serious about that, and you know, just one of those type of.
Has that changed your view?
No.
No, not at all.
No.
So there's no chance he's going to be
No,
on the White House.
I appreciate it. I appreciate him reaching out and doing that, but I need people I can count on for this fight, and I know who they are. I know who they are not.
Following Dana White's comments about Jon Jones reaching out, Ariel Helwani provided further insight into the situation. He explained the background behind Jones' apology and why it mattered. Helwani detailed the negotiations, including the reported money Jones requested and his back-and-forth decisions regarding the fight with Tom Aspinall. This context helps viewers understand the financial and professional factors influencing the White House fight discussions.
And so Dana White revealing that Jon Jones apologized to him, to me, is extremely telling. What is he apologizing for? I'll tell you what he's apologizing for, as I've said multiple times, and by the way, has not been refuted by anyone. At this point, you'd think someone, if it wasn't true, would have refuted it. Jon Jones wanted a lot of money. The number that I was told was $30 million. The UFC said no, then they said yes, then they got the money. They said, we got you the money, let's go, you versus Tom Aspinall. He said he was in, took a few days, said he was out. I've told this story a million times now. No one has refuted it. By now, you hopefully believe me. And Dana White alluded to this when he made the announcement that Jon Jones had retired and they were stripping him of the belt, or he was vacating the title, whatever semantic you want to go with, and Tom Aspinall was now the new champ.
With Jon Jones' situation clarified, Ariel turned to Conor McGregor's potential role on the White House card. He revealed that McGregor has expressed interest in being part of the event, and that Dana White is open to including him once the card starts being finalized. Helwani also shared details of McGregor's positive relationship with White, emphasizing his reliability and the growing excitement around his possible participation.
One guy who wants to be on this card is Conor McGregor. He has made that very, very clear. Dana White said that once they start to put together the card, he said this to Wade Plem, once they start to put together the card in February or so, if Conor is available and if he believes he could fight on the card, he is interested in having him on the card. He was very, very, very positive towards Conor, saying that he could always count on him, saying that he never has let him down, all this stuff and more. And shortly thereafter, Conor spoke to Adam Glynn, who does a great job of finding famous athletes and people all over New York City.
Furthermore, as the talk about the White House card continued, Sonnen analyzed Jon Jones' current situation in the UFC. He highlighted Jones' training status, his reluctance to face Tom Aspinall, and what it means for a potential headline fight at the event. Sonnen set the stage by explaining why the White House could be a unique opportunity to finally bring Jones back for a major event.
I'm finding us in that situation right now. A real-life, present-time Dojo Storm into the UFC heavyweight division by Jon Jones. Jon is not back training for one. Jon says that he's back training. Jon does not want to fight Tom Aspinall, according to Jon. My only evidence to make that statement is that Jon was offered a fight with Tom Aspinall, and Jon said no.
Sonnen then talked about how Jones might come back for the White House fight. He looked at different possible opponents and explained that the special event could be exactly what convinced Jones to compete, even though he has said no to fights in the past.
Now, if they get to the White House, is there a scenario where Jon's opponent is not Tom? And I don't know that if you say, yeah, Tom might lose to Surreal, I don't know that it changes my question. It would seem as though if there's a boogeyman in that division and no amount of money, and Madison Square Garden itself and the O2 Arena itself were not seductive enough to bring you back, but a one-off show in the nation's capital, done outside, possibly in the rain, that's just the one you're looking for. All right.
Finally, Sonnen discussed the possibility of a championship fight and what it could mean for the White House card. He emphasized the historic and unique nature of such a main event, linking it to the broader narratives of Jones' UFC career and the high stakes of the proposed White House show.
All right, fair enough, but doesn't have to be a championship match. As a matter of fact, let me back off from that. Can it be a championship match? Whether it's Surreal or Tom, whatever's going on in the division at that point, can it be just anybody, or does it have to be Tom? And if it is Tom, and Tom is champion, you now have a world title main event at the White House. Something very special, something very unique, but it would come back to the essence of the Gracie Challenge, which is no matter how good you are. And we're going to find that out in just a moment. We're going to find that out publicly in just a moment.
Following Sonnen's analysis of Jon Jones, Dana White explained which fighters he can truly rely on for the White House card. He highlighted the importance of commitment and readiness for such a historic event. Dana also mentioned Conor McGregor, noting his toughness, experience, and willingness to fight anyone, even under challenging circumstances. This sets the stage for how Dana is weighing his options for the main card.
Retiring and then coming back has made it clear I want to do this, and you know, he sent me a text apologizing and all that stuff, but I need people that I can seriously rely on for this one. You know, people talk about Conor. I'm telling you, I've been in the fucking trenches with Conor. Conor is a guy that has fought injured.
Dana then talked about timing and readiness. He said even though Conor is ready and serious, the fight still needs preparation. Planning the White House card will take time, and Dana wants to make sure the fighters are fully ready for this historic event.
Conor is a guy that a fighter has fallen out, and we slid in a stylistically bad matchup for him. He doesn't care. He literally will fight anybody.
But does he care enough to actually make a fight right now? Like, is he actually, when's the last time he fought? It's been,
he and I have been talking nonstop, and he's like, I'm dead serious. I want this. You know, I'm training. I'm back in the pool. I'm doing all. So we'll see. As we still got a long way to go. We still got a long way to go till February, till we start making this card. So we'll see how it plays out. And you know, everybody always equates my, you know, whether I like somebody or not to money. We make money.
The UFC is building anticipation for a potentially historic White House card, with Khamzat Chimaev hinting at participation and Conor McGregor possibly making a return. Jon Jones also faces a unique opportunity to handline, adding intrigue to the event. Experts emphasize that fighters' readiness, commitment, and strategic matchmaking are just as crucial as star power. With the White House and the Washington Monument as an iconic backdrop, the stakes are higher than ever. Fans are now left speculating which fighters will step up, how matchups will unfold, and whether this one-of-a-kind event will make history in the nation's capital. Who are you most excited to see on the White House card, and which matchup do you think could steal the show? Comment below.